No, I was hoping that you'd be able to hear me now, but I have some bad news.
Oh, the call recorder's not working?
I- Well, screw you. I'm gonna keep eating.
None of that. None of that got recorded. None of
So
it.
wait, you were doing like this whole thing and it was really funny and I missed it and I was gonna look forward to seeing it on Sunday and
No,
now it's
Yep.
not there at all.
no, that little part before you joined actually did get recorded, but something happened when you joined and it stopped recording, and our whole first 5 minutes that we just didn't get
Because
recorded.
it's a terrible 5 minutes anyway.
Yeah, great. Well, hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Positively Godless. I'm one of your three co-hosts, Tyler Sulander, along with Scott just can't stop shoving food into his mouth, Lawrence, and just Jerry.
So,
And
how
my
are
wife.
you?
Great.
Sure.
Great.
All right, before we go any further, I have to let you know that my favorite talk radio show mentioned me on the air on Tuesday.
What?
What?
Elaborate.
Yes. And they don't even know me. So, all right. So, here, long story short, I had AFib again. And so I had to go to the emergency room. I went to the cardiologist, and the cardiologist said, "Oh, you must go to the emergency room and get some Cardizem and blah, 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 blah." So, as we're sitting there waiting in the emergency room before we go in, I go on the Podcast Addict app on my phone, and I like refresh the feed so that I could download Monday and Tuesday's show. And I was like, why isn't Tuesday's show there? Why can't I get Tuesday's show? And then I realized that it was only 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And the show doesn't start till 5. So I tweeted to them. I wrote, was questioning why Tuesday's show wasn't available for download, then realized it hasn't happened yet. What did he do? Oh well, he'll come back. Did you knock him again?
Yeah, when he's ready to do his show, he can come and join us.
Oh, did you hear that? My husband just texted me. He's on his way home. So anyway,
Yep.
So in the meantime, today is Thursday, and I was only just listening to Tuesday's show today.
Uh-huh.
And so basically, I'm driving in my car, and I hear, yeah, our listener Jerry wrote in and was like, why he couldn't find Tuesday's show, and then realized it hasn't happened. I almost ran my car off the road laughing so hard.
But you gotta
So
mention.
So I think I might have to call them tomorrow if I have. I was going to call them today, but then I chickened out. So I don't know. Maybe I'll call them tomorrow or Monday. Who knows?
That is so fantastic. I have
Yeah.
I have never been brave enough to ever write into any of the shows that I listen to on a regular basis.
Really?
Yep. Can't do
So these guys I listened to on Sirius XM, and it's a gay guy and a lesbian, and they do this talk show. They had like 4 hours, and then it was 3 hours, and then all of a sudden one day, Derek and Romaine weren't on the air, and I was like, oh, what happened to Derek and Romaine? And then they started doing their own show on the internet.
Jerry, I can't hear you anymore.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, so they started doing their own show in January over the internet after they had gotten canceled from Sirius XM. And I tweet to them all the time and Facebook and all that stuff. And usually they respond. But I was a little upset, yesterday and today when I didn't get a response to my tweet. And then I was like, oh, that's why I didn't get a response, because they mentioned it on the air. It was all of like 2.5 seconds, but it made my day. So, and then I was wrapped up in watching the redo of the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Mm-hmm.
Did you set it to record?
Yes?
Oh,
Wait, no. Oh, wait, that? No, I thought you meant the
The
show
Rocky
that we're
Horror
doing
Picture
right
Show?
now.
No.
Yeah, the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
No,
No.
I don't have
Oh
TV,
my
so
god!
I can't do
All right, you said
I heard it was awful.
How did you hear it was awful? It just came on like an hour ago.
I get that, but they have people who view it beforehand to do critiques of it, and I heard it got bad reviews.
Well, whoever you're listening to is wrong.
I talk 107.1
Okay, well they're wrong.
out of
Okay,
Minneapolis.
are they straight?
No.
But the people that said it was awful are gay.
Yeah.
Well, then they're not gay enough because. Listen, I was watching it, and I really, really love the original with Tim Curry and that whole cast, Susan Sarandon and all. And I always compare everything to the original because I don't ever think there was anything that I saw that was redone, that was done better. Unless Mariah Carey covers somebody else's song, then it's usually better than the original.
Of course.
So they have Laverne Cox as the Frankenfurter, and they have Christina Milian as one of the characters, and a bunch of other unnamed people. Adam Sandler plays Eddie, the guy that Meatloaf played in the original movie, and but they were singing the songs, and they put the freaking millennial whoop in like almost all of the songs that I heard so far. I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
The millennial whoop.
Yeah, you never heard about that?
Nope.
I'll send it to you on Facebook or something, and you'll understand. I'm sure other like our 3 viewers will understand what the millennial whoop. So,
well, speaking of your story about getting mentioned on another show and our 3 viewers,
Yes.
comments from last week, once again, I can only see one. Is that what we had, or did we have more?
well, I didn't go yet.
No, we got head
I was
case.
looking at shoes. I want to buy.
I see head case, and that's it.
We got Steve Punk as well.
Sorry, Steve. I don't know why my phone won't show your comment.
Maybe your phone has Steve
sometimes
blocked.
the phone doesn't show all the comments. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Maybe it's your iPhone.
Well, do we want to start with head case?
Go ahead.
Oh boy. So head case. First off, sorry to hear about your grandfather, Tyler. You have my condolences. Thank you, head case. No, I live in North Carolina, not Florida. Now on to this week in Trumpville. For anybody who did watch, last week was a lot ado about Trump. But anyway, what Trump describes in that tape is sexual assault, not locker room talk. Making charges of sexual assault is a difficult thing to do, so I understand why those women did not come out earlier. Then to hear your assailant claim publicly that it was just, quote, locker room talk must be infuriating. If he did assault these women, I hope they get their justice. As bad as that is, what bothers me more is Trump bragging about walking into the dressing room of the Miss Teen USA pageant when he owned it. Some of those girls were as young as 15 and obviously in a restricted area, and he just strolls right in without any warning at all. That, I'm sure, breaks a few laws, and he is bragging about it. What frightens me is when he loses, how will his supporters take it? Which we're going to talk about that statement from the debate last night. They have already proven they will turn on their most beloved Republicans in office on a whim if any of them say something negative about Trump. These are their loved ones. What will they do to the rest of us? You think it's been crazy until now? Wait until November 9th. It's going to get cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And this is something that I was actually just mentioning last night was, after the debate, the third and final presidential debate, I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself, thank goodness that's over, and thank goodness that most of this is almost over. Because in 20 days, we will have an election, Hillary will win, and everything will be over. And as I sat there, I started thinking to myself that, you know what? No. It's actually not going to be over after the election is done. It's only going to be getting started.
I was going to say, were you remembering the episode that we had about when they legalized gay marriage? Or marriage equality?
Yeah.
And I said it's only the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, can we just, I don't want to derail this into a whole Trump episode again, but can we just talk about that statement that he made last night about...
She's a nasty woman?
No,
not that one. That he's saying that if he loses, like, what if he loses?
Yeah.
Basically, wait till that day happens.
Why you sound muffled? You sound like you have a in your mouth.
Oh, what in my mouth?
Thank you for self-bleeping. I appreciate that.
No, but you have to bleep it now.
Why? I didn't say it, and it's
but you enunciated
word.
it.
Okay. But anyway, the nominee for one of the two major parties will not come out and say that regardless of the results, I will stand by those results.
Right.
And then he throws in that line of, well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. He's like, I'll keep you in suspense. Like, really? This is just it's just a freaking game to him.
It is.
Donald Trump. This is the line I talked to you two about yesterday. Donald Trump is 9/11 in human form.
When did you talk to us about that yesterday?
No, he said that he thought of a quote that he wanted to say on the show.
Yeah, wow. He is absolutely the 9/11 in human form. It is so
like if 9/11 was a person, it would be Donald Trump.
It would be Donald Trump. He is so disastrous in every sense of the word. When he's saying I have the most I have the most respect for women of anybody on the planet, whatever he said, I'm paraphrasing, and then says she is a nasty woman, which now brought Janet Jackson's song "Nasty Girl" up 200%.
See the memes of the album cover for Control with Hillary's face on it. Yes. I was dying all day on TV.
I can't even fathom that someone is he really taking this seriously? Is this person really that mentally ill to think for a second that he's going to win? Because he said it today. I'll let you know how I feel about when I win on November.
He said he would totally accept the results if I win.
He said when I win.
No, he said if.
Oh, did he say if? Okay, sorry.
I have it right here.
And
I don't follow Donald Trump as much as you do.
No, you're usually in front.
Ooh.
You usually be behind, because aren't you the bottom?
You don't know how this... Jerry, offline, I'll let you explain how this whole thing works. But anyway, moving on.
Well, apparently I'm the straight one then.
Okay, so just real quick, I don't know if you guys watched what channel you watched the debates on, but we watched CNN.
We did too.
Did you watch the woman interviewing his campaign manager, that sick lady?
No.
I don't even know. Kellyanne Conway? No. She's a sick woman. She doesn't look like what I thought she would look like. I thought she would be some fat heifer that was like, that, Donald wouldn't want to grab by anything. But she was asked by the reporter, would you advise him to accept the outcome of the election? And she said, yes, I will advise him to say, thank you for electing me president of the United States, or something like that. Like she was, it's so sick.
Oh yeah,
It's,
because
the whole thing is
her retort was all
revolting.
about, well, they're going to win, so of course he's going to accept the results of the election because they're going to win.
Oh shit! Yeah,
Like there wouldn't be any conceding of the election because he wouldn't have to do that.
right. It's all terribly revolting to me at this point, and I can't wait till I was gonna say I can't wait till it's over, but it's not. It's not going to be over. It's just
Can
not.
you imagine Trump winning, right? And he walks out to the Prince song "Pussy Control." You know, viewers laughed at that after they Googled it.
So
Sounds so good in my head.
So yeah,
that was funnier than your actual joke.
The only thing that we can hope for, really, really hope for, is that not only does Hillary Clinton win the election, but that we win enough down ballot elections to regain control of the House and the Senate.
Good luck.
I don't understand, because when you go to the voting booth, you can pick each candidate, or you can just pull a lever for the entire party. So if everybody pulls the Hillary lever and it pulls the lever for the entire party, shouldn't we regain control of everything?
Good luck with that.
Because that's what I do. I just
Wars.
pull the lever for the. I'm not even going to lie. I just pull the lever for the entire party, because it's we need the Democrats in the House and Senate to be able to work with whatever president we elect. It doesn't make sense to not.
Yeah,
I know it may be slightly irresponsible to do it that way, but there was never be any other reason that I would vote for anybody other than the Democratic Party. I would never vote for a Republican, ever.
Maybe the week of the election, when we record the show, we can do an episode called Positively History Lesson and go through that. But right now we've got a show of Positively Godless to do. So
okay.
I'm trying to nicely say that is not a quick conversation. There are so many levels. So much.
Like I said, and I already acknowledged, it's probably very slightly irresponsible. But
anyway, all right. Can we get to Steve's comment, please? Because I can't see it.
Steve says he's playing this video, meaning episode 3, while he was working on his mini dirt bike. My grandmother had dementia, so I sympathize with your loss, Tyler. I look forward to watching your show every week.
Can we talk about the camaraderie that me and Steve Punk have with the mini dirt bike? Because him and I could see him and I going like riding through England.
Yours is not a mini dirt bike; it's a Vespa.
It's not a Vespa. I told you it's an antique. It was built in 1981. It's an antique. It's a motor scooter, not a Vespa. Vespa is like more of like a hybrid.
You drive what Howard Wolowitz drives on The Big Bang Theory.
I don't know who that is.
Anyway,
it's my muffin.
Hi, Muffin.
Hi, chocolate chip.
He's a Trump supporter, so I want him to come on for a quick second.
What?
But Tyler's laughing. Oh, not laughing. No. I don't know. Muffin, I'm recording.
You got Scott with the muffin in the background. I see Tyler with like a little elbow on the side.
Right with you, real quick. Right with you.
Your brother was just doing this or something. I could see his elbow on this, but it won't make it into the show.
Spoiler alert. Yes, Inside baseball.
Inside baseball.
What's that mean?
Yes. Things that you wouldn't normally know because they happen off screen. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Moving on. Thank you, Steve, for your comments. And thanks
And
for watching
Steve,
every week.
if you watch every week, I don't know if you noticed how many views we had this week, but we only had 40, and I'm pretty sure 39 of them were Scott.
No, I will.
Oh no, 38 of them, because at least head casing.
No,
Yeah.
no, because I failed to
Only
post
50.
it on social media.
Good job.
Good job. Good job. You
I
have
was
one
busy all
job,
week.
and that's to copy the link to the Facebook page.
I know.
right.
I've been busy all week. Sorry.
Excuses. So
Don't let this Paisley Park thing interfere with Positively Godless, or I'm gonna have to fire you.
If the Positively Godless pays me, then we'll have a conversation. So.
So Tyler, I don't know if you were trying to move on, but
Yeah.
you were trying to move on. I know you had a bunch of things that you wanted to talk about last week. Is that what you wanted to move on to right now?
Oh boy, I don't even know. Here's the thing. We talked briefly, and I sincerely do not want to derail this entire episode into a Trump fest again. But was there anything else that you guys wanted to say about last night and what happened?
I think Hillary.
I hate that guy.
I hate Trump. Every time he talked, I covered my face like this. At one point, the first question he was asked, he did not even touch a coherent answer to it. It wasn't even an answer. He started talking, and I went like this and smacked my forehead. And I was like, oh, why am I doing this to myself again? But Hillary, she kicked his butt.
She was an adult.
Well, no, you saw how restrained she was on the first two debates, not interrupting him, not talking over him. But this was the last debate, this is her election to lose. It's not that it's his to win; it's hers to lose. Right. And Derek Hartley, I took that from him. Thank you for mentioning me on your show, Derek. I know you're not watching this, but I have to give you the proper.
Wait a minute. You're telling us that you don't pull a Scott and plug our show on other shows?
No, because I'm a spectator. The only time I'm not a spectator is here, right here. You know.
If it wasn't for me, we wouldn't get 39 views.
Actually, it wasn't for you, and we did get 39 views. So.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Can we, real quick, since we're on this topic, can we talk about how well Chris Wallace did, though? He did fantastic. I think he did very, very well.
I mean, I wish he would have just said, shut the F up.
Right.
Yeah, I wish all of them at one point or another would have just said, and not even to just Donald Trump. I mean, like, you know, they get 2 minutes. If they're in the middle of a thought, they get to finish the thought another 5 or 6 seconds, but they shouldn't go past 2 minutes and 10 seconds on an answer or a response, you know, but.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would use the word fantastic, but he certainly did much better. I mean, I didn't see the second debate at all, so I don't really know how that went down. But compared to the first debate, when Lester Holt just let those guys go off the rails, like both of them, I definitely thought it was better.
Anderson Cooper and that other chick, they really did, probably out of the 3 debates, I think they were the best moderators.
Yeah, if you miss the second debate, just watch SNL.
Okay, let's move on.
Ay. All right, so I'm going to open up the floor, I think, to Scott's most recent wet dream, Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, God, yes. I want to screw up so she can just yell at me.
Oh, my God.
I seriously do. I want her to cuss me out like there's no tomorrow.
Do you care to elaborate?
it's just she will. I don't know.
Please don't tell me you're turned on by her.
If she looked like Judge Million from the People's Court in the way that girl will go off on somebody, I've told Elsa, I'm like, I'm so turned on right now. When Judge Million freaks out on people, I have a job. People's Court, Tyler. It's a show that came out in 1970.
I will not hesitate to hang up on you for a second time during this episode.
Well, good. Then I can put my dishes away. But never mind.
Well, so all right. So what's up with Elizabeth Warren?
She is an absolute leader. I wish she would have ran. I think that she would. Is better than Hillary in my opinion. She's extremely intelligent and doesn't pull any punches. It's not a show to her. It's a real deal. It's actual reality. What do you, Donald Trump? Anyway, that's her with me, and the way that she just dressed down the CEO for Wells Fargo. I saw that. Was just glorious. And that's the type of leader that I think that we need for this country, at least now.
Yeah, so I mean, when the Wells Fargo CEO, in the wake of the whole scandal and everything, was in front of Congress, she went off on him and, was basically asking, when this came to light, what did you do? And for anybody who hasn't followed anything, well, a bunch of lower-level Wells Fargo employees were all opening up fake bank accounts under names of people that actually were members of Wells Fargo, and they were doing it in order to meet sales quotas and all of that kind of stuff, so they would open it, get the sale, and then they would close it after the quarter or whatever the reporting period was, all this kind of stuff. So he's getting grilled in front of a congressional committee, and Elizabeth Warren is there, and she's, going to town with him, basically. And, as like, at one point she was like, so when this first came to light, what did you do in response to this? And he's like, well, we enacted blah, 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 whatever, and we've followed protocol. And she's like, no. What did you do? You specifically, what did you do? And he had, like, no answer for it. And she was saying that he needs to, that he should step down. She was tweeting later that he should step down and all this kind of stuff. And eventually, he did. And then, even in the wake of that, so he steps down as the Wells Fargo CEO and bows out of the picture. He retired early. But anyway, so then Elizabeth Warren tweeted on October 12th. So she says, as I said, Wells Fargo CEO Stump should resign, return every nickel he made during the scam, and face a DOJ/SEC investigation. He's 1 for 3. So even though she got one of the big things that she really wanted, like, that wasn't it. She didn't stop there. She still believes that he needs to repay the money that he made during that time, and that he still needs to go under an official investigation, through the federal government, which, most of the people that are in, well, pretty much everybody except for her and maybe Bernie are not gonna even go near that route. So, Scott?
Yeah.
See, if you had the microphone in front of your face, we wouldn't have to wait 3 seconds for you to freaking make a comment.
Head case, time how long that took to get that on my face. In my face.
Don't enlist him.
Not on my face.
No. Oh, okay. So anyway, I wish that she would have run.
Yeah. I've already said my points. I don't know why you want me to piggyback. I mean,
or at least she should have been the Hillary's VP candidate.
Was she considered for that? Do we know?
I don't know. Because I'm not feeling this Tim Kaine guy.
The reports
Right.
were that she had been vetted as one of the contenders.
Maybe
Okay.
she
But-
turned it down.
It's,
Yeah, because I know Amy Klobuchar was one, right? That's from Minnesota.
Yeah, there was, and Tim Kaine, and there was the former, not the Treasury Secretary. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Not important at this point.
Right.
So, anyway, shout out to Elizabeth
Excuse-
Warren.
Yeah,
Scott loves
Chugging
you.
right along.
I do love her. I think that she'll run next in 4 years.
8 years.
8 years. 8 years. God. A lot of faith in Trump, don't I? 8 years. What else we got?
Wow. What else do you guys got?
Well, we are positively godless, and I think that we need to kind of redirect our show a little bit, and not that our show is completely picking on Ridgeway, but did we cover Jerry just eviscerating that whole entire email group?
That was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, but we never covered it because that stupid Sniffles has been in the news the entire time.
And then you took a week off.
I didn't take a week off. No, we didn't take a week off. No, did I take a week off? What did I have going on? Why was I gone?
I'm just trying to blame it on him.
Oh, of
Thank
course,
you.
yeah.
Thank you. It's all Scott's fault.
No,
All Scott's-
Tyler took a week off, by the way. Not a week off. I'm sorry, that was really, really rude. Sorry.
We took a week off.
A week
For-
off.
Circumstances that we have talked about.
Yeah,
No, we did not talk about that. So if you wanted to talk about it, I guess we could talk about it a little bit.
I want to
didn't
kind of go
get-
back to
I
positive.
didn't look for anything because at the end of last week, Tyler, you had
That's
said that
fine.
you
I
had a bunch of stuff you wanted to talk about.
I have more, but I wanna
more
be-
than last week.
I
didn't
want
mean to
to
derail.
be. No, I want to be all inclusive.
Oh no, it's absolutely fine. I'm just
You
here for
guys-
the part.
You guys can
I'm like
bring up the
Richard Wilson.
email thing. I am going to be completely honest. I totally tuned out because I can't stand that email thread anymore. I
Yeah.
can't do it.
It gets a little tedious. I only read half of them, if that. But yeah, I'm like Gretchen Wilson. I'm only here for the party. I'm here for the party.
So, Scott,
Tonight,
you brought it
really-
up. What was the gist of it?
The gist was, and now I got to find the flipping email.
I told Paul basically where to stick it. I forget the whole topic conversation. Scott can find it if he wants to talk about it and like refresh our memory. But I just remember that Paul had said for the millionth and one time, well, I don't hate gay people. I went to blah, 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 Pride Parade and handed out 2,000 bottles of ice cold water. I said, don't try to tell me that you went to the gay Pride Parade to just hand out bottles of water because you wanted to make sure everybody was safe in the heat. Or I said, I know, don't try to pull the wool over my eyes. I know that you had other intentions of going. So I remember that's like basically the one thing I remember. I
What's the
called him
one
out,
thing?
but he never responded. But
No, the one thing, the big topic was, and I can't find it, but I can remember, it was about ISIS being more dangerous and stuff like that. And then someone said, I can't remember who, but Christians are actually more. No, it's piggybacking off of what Tyler wrote. And Jerry chimed in regarding homosexuals, and Paul says, well, we as Christians don't throw homosexuals off balconies like ISIS does. And Jerry says, yeah, but your words hurt. Your words cause suicide in gay kids who can't be themselves. And he didn't really say much after that. I don't think he did. But then he
it
had
was
this
the most recent episode of PG email.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Which, actually, so
You started that.
I did spurn this whole thing, in a way. But actually, our good friend Nate Allen spurned this thing on. Because after watching the end of episode 1 and what I had to say, he wanted me to send that out to the whole group. And so I had mentioned the same things that I thought at the end of episode 1, that I went off on my little, my little Will Ferrell blackout, what just happened moment. And so then Doug responded that he agreed that fundamentalist Christians pose a bigger threat to our society than fundamentalist Muslims or Hindus or Buddhists or Zoroastrians, for that matter. This is simply because of numbers. One tenet of the fundamentalists of all religions seems to be to convert the rest of the world to their own personal point of view, whether by simple persuasion or by the sword. Since Christians in the United States are the majority of the numerous other fundamentalist sects, they logically pose the greater threat just by their relative mass. To which Paul responded...
You said fundamentalist sects.
Yeah. To which Paul responded...
S-E-C-T, Jerry.
I know.
Hold on. I'm going to say hold on. Hold that thought. You should talk about yourselves, because you left it at a really, really pivotal point. You talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. I need to go grab a Christian quick. Hold on.
No.
I'm not derailing the show. This is awesome.
He's not going to come on.
Don't give me that look. Yes, he will. Hold on.
What are you doing?
Just hang on. Talk amongst yourselves. Insert music.
He's not going to come on.
What is he doing?
He's going to get Grady.
Grady is... Well, he's in the email, but what is he, upstairs?
Yeah. Well, Scott's upstairs right now. Remember, he's in the replacement room because his basement flooded?
Oh, yeah, so it is Grady in Scott's house?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, I'll let you do what you want with that one.
For any particular reason?
Like I said, I'll let you do what you want with that one.
Okay.
Use your imagination.
You know what, though? Elsa married him, and I'm still wondering why that is.
Trust me, this is good. So, I'm going to bring my friend Grady on, who's in our email forum.
Our email chain, it's not a forum.
Email
like
chain
6
forum.
people.
Whatever.
Hi.
Grady's going to talk to you.
Hi, Grady.
About this topic. So,
where are you going?
I put my dishes away.
Are you kidding?
We finally have a guest on. Leave me alone. Hold on. Grady, give him 5-10 minutes. Don't worry, I don't have ear herpes.
It's not the ear herpes that I'd worry about. It's the other things.
Shut up, Jerry.
How did you hear me? Hi, Grady. You might want to turn the volume down.
Okay, thank you.
Because Scott's deaf, and I don't want to talk in my normal tone because I don't want to blow your eardrums out.
You are totally correct about this.
Grady, you are on the email chain. Did you happen to stay apprised of that most recent back and forth that happened?
The most recent email from that stream I remember would have been the one from Jerry, and I think it was in response to the threat of extreme terrorism versus Christians.
Yeah. Well, and there was a whole... I mean, it just went on and on. But...
Can I read my response to Paul?
Yeah. Have you heard?
Yeah, if you just to give a little context for Grady, since he wasn't here when I was reading it before,
and for the viewers, so Grady, I have I have patience for like almost everybody. I've been in customer service. I've dealt with the public for, I'm going to say, 25 of my almost 40 years on this earth. So I can be patient with just about everybody.
I hear you.
I have no patience for Mr. Ridgway. I don't know why, but he always just gets me like to the core about something. So for the viewer's sake, so that we can kind of like they can know where the whole conversation is coming from, I'm just going to read my response to his. Do you want to read, Tyler? Do you want to read over for Grady Paul's response that we were going to talk about?
I will. I'll read a part of it. So
Okay.
in response to mine and Doug's, I don't know if accusation is the right word, but I guess our statement that that fundamentalist and extremist Christianity is more dangerous to the future of this country than extremist Islam is to this country. Paul responded with, "This is ridiculous. Christians, just because there are more of them, do not pose a greater threat than Muslims, just because Muslims are fewer numbers in America. It's the teaching and actions required by the religion for their followers, and Christians are not to kill or behead anyone just because they won't follow Jesus. Islam is just the opposite. I have many Islamic scholars that say that Islam clearly teaches killing the infidels. I don't see Christians blowing up people, cutting off their heads, throwing homosexuals from buildings around the world, but guess what? The minority, quotes, of Muslims are doing this everywhere around the world. Why? Because those who read the Quran and understand the teachings and commandments of Muhammad are actually the real followers and are taking the action they have been commanded to do. Just the opposite of what Jesus has commanded." So, in a nutshell, he's basically saying that all horrible actions are committed and done by Muslims, and that Muhammad directly said to do all of this. And therefore, Christians don't do that because that's not what Jesus said. So, Jerry, your response was...
I started off, wait, on PG, we talk about extremists. You have to admit that there are extremist Christians, like the guy who blew up the Planned Parenthood clinic, or the guy who shot up the movie theater at the Batman premiere. What about Timothy McVeigh and Oklahoma City? But this is no different than saying women shouldn't be able to have a say in their reproductive decisions, or that gays don't have the right to enter into the legal contract of marriage. No different than saying transgendered people must use the bathroom of their born gender and not that of the gender they've transitioned to. No different than conversion therapy. So, no, while Christians are not physically harming people directly, when their actions and hate speech drive members of the LGBT community to commit suicide, I have to say that they are harming people. None of this follows the teachings of your beloved Jesus. All of it is being hypocritical. I beg you to show me how many attacks were committed in 2015 in the name of Christianity versus Islam. I want you to prove to me that extreme Christianity is not as much of a threat as extreme Islam. Please. Now, let me explain. I don't paint with broad strokes. You know, I realize that there are extremist Christians, extremist Muslims, extremist everything, you know, but Mr. Ridgway would have us believe that all Muslims are terrorists and all Muslims are bad people, and anybody who believes in Islam is persecuting everybody else. So
I would say, Jerry, can I just clarify one thing, just in slight defense of Ridgway? Is what I would say is that he doesn't necessarily believe that all Muslims are terrorists, but he believes that all terrorist-related acts are perpetrated by Muslims.
Okay.
And that there aren't any other groups that, you know, such as Christianity, that would be involved in things like that. because just from the fact that Christians are not beheading people or throwing them off of buildings, and so on and so forth. Even though there are plenty of other things that could be considered, hate crimes or discrimination or, bullying that leads to suicide and things like that, he doesn't count that.
But wasn't there a point in history where a bunch of people, like a lot of people, were killed because they didn't want to convert to Christianity?
Yeah, it was called the Crusades.
Yeah, that's what couldn't think of the words.
Anyway,
all right,
the
Grady,
reason...
take me to task. I want to be taken to task.
Okay. Well, I did read
proverbially straight here.
Sure. I get the idea of what you're trying to say in your email. The one thing I got out of the way you worded it was it wasn't so much the idea of violence as it was the whatever political pressure or cultural pressure we feel as a society. It seemed like that was the part that you were trying to address more than the violent extreme terrorism aspect of things, if I understood it correctly.
Right. And while, again, Christians and Christianity is not necessarily out there killing people physically, words hurt. They hurt. I grew up in my entire life being hurt by words. I was never beat up as a kid. I was never, I was not the skinny kid that got shoved in the locker or,
I got beat up as a kid.
Did you?
Yeah.
That wasn't me, but I was always verbally attacked, and that's just as bad as being physically attacked. I think some days I would have rather been, somebody would hit me so that I could hit them back and prove to them that I'm not this little weakling that they think I am, because I'm different than everybody. It just, even now, as I'm, going to be 40 years old in a couple of months, words still hurt. And
oh, they do.
I don't understand why people. I don't know.
I want to say something at this point because I didn't get a chance to respond to your email.
Go ahead.
While I understand where a lot of things are coming from that you mentioned, I want to make sure that non-believers understand that Christians like myself do not feel represented by people like Timothy McVeigh. We do not feel represented by people who go out and commit heinous crimes. And I know that if you're feeling more threatened by Christianity in this country than by Islam, then I don't know if you've spent a lot of time reading the Quran. I haven't, but I have read parts of it. And I know that there's 109 different passages in the Quran that strictly indicate going after the people who don't believe or who are unwilling to believe, and persecuting people with views other than their own, such as the gay or lesbian community, going after people who are Jews or Christians. So I know that there's 109 passages, at least in the Quran, that actually say, to go out and kill them all wherever you find them and turn them out from where they have turned you out. So I know that there's no place in the Bible where it commands Christians to go out and kill non-believers. And I realize that the Christian crusades happened back in the day. But I have yet to see anywhere in the Bible where it commands me to go out and kill people who don't believe.
Okay, so sorry, Tyler. Go ahead.
Well, and I was just going to say one thing to what you started with. And I think one of the things that gets overlooked a lot of times, and not necessarily with you, but with some of what I would consider Paul as like getting to the borderline of extremism. As far as, being an extremist is, as far as the spectrum is concerned, in my opinion. And
are you speaking of his fire and brimstone outlook on certain things?
The outlook is only one part of it, but just a lot of the speech in his daily show that goes out over the airwaves that anybody can listen to is filled with a lot of hate rhetoric. And it's also filled with a lot of rhetoric that is disguised as, I guess, what you would call Christian love. I mean, he's doing it under the guise of, I'm doing this for your own good type of a thing. And, you and I have known each other for a while now, and I know what you believe, and you and I have talked not at great lengths about this kind of stuff. But you don't sit there on a constant basis with what seems to be an underlying motive of, again, going back to this fire and brimstone, and one of the things that we've talked about, for a long time is that view of, well, it's really going to suck when you're down there in hell and I'm up in heaven, and that kind of stuff. But the point that I wanted to get to was, you mentioned almost right away that you don't feel, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to paraphrase here, but when you were saying that you don't feel, represented by extremists like Timothy McVeigh and some of these other ones, which I totally and completely understand. If I was still a Christian, I would be right there with you, because I don't think that's the thing. Hang on, Jerry. Just the point that I wanted to make about that is, on the flip side, I think what's really unfortunate, especially in this country, because it is predominantly people who identify as being Christian, is that the same exact things are done to Muslims, and they are all lumped into this category. And I'm not saying that every Christian does this, or that everybody of another faith looks at them in this way. But this is where I get into the extremist portion. And when some of these extremist, fundamentalist, super right-wing people get up in their pulpit or up on their soapbox and they start going off about Islamic terrorism, Donald Trump last night was a prime example. It all of a sudden doesn't become something about these 1, 2, 3, 4 bad apples, like we rattled off on the Christian side. You do that the same thing, stuff that's gone on in this country, whether or not it's happened in the name of Islam, or whether or not they just happened to be Muslim and they carried out these acts for other reasons. But then everybody, all of the Muslims in this country, get looped under that same banner, because that's the rhetoric. That's how is it fair for you to say, well, I don't feel represented by these extreme people that you're trying to say, the examples that we give,
it's not fair to say I don't feel represented by those people, but all the Muslims have to be represented by all of the other, like any of the other people who commit terrorist acts or blow up a building or fly a plane into a building or something.
And
so it's like
just to be fair, Grady never said that.
No, but
Paul would.
Right.
That's where Grady, I don't want you to think that we're coming after you right here.
Right.
No, I get it though, and yeah, thanks, Tyler. I just in a situation like you just said, it wouldn't be fair if that were the case.
But that's what's happening,
and it's not happening from me, obviously. But yes, there are people out there that do take that approach. And I'm gonna just try to come up with an analogy here really quick. I wasn't prepared for being on here until I was walking towards the microphone tonight.
We can all blame Scott for that. So
yeah, it's fine. I mean, we're not holding your feet to the fire, but
no, I think there's situations out there where people are going to be doing wild and crazy things that are irrational, and they're going to do it in the name of, whatever it is that they believe in. Crazy people are still going to be crazy people. Is it okay for a Christian to swear on this show?
I might
crazy is still bad crazy.
It
doesn't matter if it's
swear. So
it's kind of like that old saying: you can't fix stupid. There's stupid people out there that do it under the guise of whatever it is that they want to do it under the guise of, whether they believe in, if they believe in God or if they believe in the Great Pumpkin. Crazy people are still going to do crazy shit. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And my little rant / speech, whatever it was that I went off on, and at the beginning of episode 1 of this season, was, more of just it was kind of a culmination of everything that's been going on recently. I mean, the political landscape in general is just completely awful. But, what it really came down, and my view, again, and I qualified this very heavily on that first episode, that it's not a blanket statement for all Christians. I know you, Grady. I know, I'm like Donald Trump. I know lots of people. Okay, I know lots of different Christians. They're great people. Okay, and in general, most of them are. But ultimately, Islam has fundamental extremists. Christianity has fundamental extremists. In this country that is predominantly, comprised of those who identify as Christians, there is just naturally going to be an immensely larger number of fundamentalist extremist Christians in our country, potentially doing harm, whether it's actually blowing up a building, shooting up a place, or just causing, emotional damage to people, than there are Muslims. I mean, just by the numbers, it's going to be that way. And those that are fundamentalists will argue until they're blue in the face that, oh no, there's way more, fundamentalist Muslims, because that's what they want to do. They want to come in here and they want to infiltrate our country and blah, 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 whatever, fine, whatever. You can think what you want to think. And I'm not saying that you think that way, Grady. I'm just trying to explain. I mean, that's where this whole entire saga came out of, and what it boils down to is that just because Christians in this country are not beheading people in the middle of the street, he seems to think that there is no damage being caused by Christianity. And again, I'm not saying that there's all damage and that Christianity is not doing any good in this country either. Because again, just like everything else, I think there's two sides to that coin. But I think especially with the recent rise of Trump and what we have seen out of the type of people that, no matter what, vehemently support him, I think the thing is that people can't really even deny anymore is that all of that hatred, all of that bigotry, all of that, the racism, the nationalism, whatever you want to call it, that it's always been there. Trump has just been the one that has allowed that to now boil to the surface, and people can come out and proudly be a white supremacist and support a presidential candidate. And those people, maybe they're not doing it in the name of Christianity, but they will, in a heartbeat, identify themselves as being Christian. So you see the kind of difference there? I mean, but again, are we bad people for lumping everybody into one category? I don't know.
I have something that'll tie into this, and maybe it'll answer your question. And maybe as a musician, Tyler, this will resonate with you. Gary, I don't know if you're a musician or not, but Jerry, sorry. Hopefully this will resonate with you too. Scott asked me maybe a month ago. He said, Grady, why can't all of you Christians agree on what it is that you believe? And my answer was saying that all Christians have to believe the same thing would be like telling 100,000 guitar players or 2 million guitar players that they all have to play the same way. It's not going to happen. You know, everybody's an individual still. And so, you know, you've got some guitar players that are jazz guitar players, and they're not going to go in and play a gig with 9 Inch Nails and have it be transparent. It's just not going to work. So, you know, I can't speak on behalf of Paul. I listened to a show a couple times. I know what I believe. It's not my place to judge people of other religions. It's not my place to judge somebody who believes differently than me. I guess that's probably why 2 of my closest buddies are atheists. You know, it's it's not my place to judge. God didn't give me that role, and so I guess what He did teach me to do though is love and show love for, you know, the life here on earth. And so that's how I view my Christianity, and that's how I carry it with me. It's through love. And so I guess if some people want to turn whatever it is they believe into hate, they're going to do that with or without religion. Bat crazy is still bat crazy. So, you know. So I hope I gave some degree of answer to your questions.
Well, and what I will say is that is token Grady that I know and love. And
thanks, bud.
Honestly, if every Christian was like you, we wouldn't be here right now doing this show.
Well, thank you. That means a lot.
No, it's not something just because, you know, we've grown as friends together. There is such a, you know, a level-headedness to it, and, you know, in a certain way, you are so calm and collected about, all of this stuff, but I never, in all the time that I'd known you, I have never doubted or like seen any sort of like wavering in your faith. And, but it's like, you're very matter of fact about it, but you're not my dad. You're not jamming it down my throat, and telling every which way that I...
Here is the scripture.
Yeah.
You will embrace the scripture.
There we go. That's what we're used to, right there. Anyway.
He heals my child.
All right.
Scott's lurking in the background.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
no,
put Scott
I
back
really,
on the phone.
I really think that, in any case, I think that Scott is fired. He's been replaced. And welcome to the new lineup, Grady. So
You guys, this is great, Jerry. It's good to finally meet you.
Same here. Tyler, when Scott doesn't have the headphones in, like before when he puts the headphones in, we should say, "All right, that's it for this week's episode."
Perfect.
You
Grady, don't tell him that.
ready to reassume your post, sir? Tyler, Jerry, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Grady. I'll see you Sunday.
All right, take care.
Are you going to church?
Yeah, of course. I got to go see Grady play in the band.
At church?
Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody. With
All right,
that,
everybody.
have a good night.
Bye.
So,
Okay, so
I don't know why that makes me laugh so hard every time. My husband's out in the other room. He's probably saying, "Oh, Scott just got hung up on." Oh, stop! I'm gonna have AFib again.
Oh, God. And this time it's gonna be my fault.
I hope you don't mind that I brought him on. I think it'd be that was relevant to what we do here.
Yeah, yeah. There
You
you
know
go.
what I mean? Just to get a good positive person on and like Grady. It was so funny. I'm actually was kind of sitting in the back listening in and like, my goodness, Tyler's got to mute the Christian or bleep the Christian like multiple times. It was so funny.
Well, he did ask. He
I
did
know he
ask.
did.
He's like, yeah. He's like, is it all right for a Christian to swear on this show?
It's going to be better is just the bleeps on the Christian.
You should put a cross over his mouth.
Oh my goodness.
But you know what? He's one of the most amazing people we could ever come across. Really, he really is. I just no one's
You
listening.
got my
to me.
heart pounding.
Can I be heard?
Yeah, you could be heard, but I'm sorry. I'm just like my heart's just like.
Is it because of my good looks?
No, because I was laughing so hard.
Okay, good. No, Grady is one of those people that are just a gem, just one of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Is he still there in the room?
No, he's not. He's actually talking
okay.
to Muffin
All right, good.
right now. Just one of the sweetest people you can ever come across.
Yeah, I know. We already went over this while he was in the show. So
Oh, okay. Well,
He
I
was
wasn't
nice.
here.
He was nice to talk to.
yep,
He's great.
he's taking over for you. So
Good. Okay, so who's taking over from Maudie then? He's still waiting.
waiting in the wings.
He uses too many big words. I can't talk to him.
I will make sure I send that message along.
And
Oh,
yeah,
my
I told him
goodness.
that. I told him that to his face once
I
when
did.
he was on the show.
I know you did.
And for some strange reason, I don't know why. Never mind. I'm not going to go there.
Are we done for the night?
Do you want to be done?
Why are we only recording? Oh, never mind. You hung up on me. I'm like, why is we only recording for 2 minutes?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. We still didn't get to the governor of Ohio or whatever that was. Sorry, Oklahoma. Drastically different.
I'm sweeping down the plain.
We didn't get
I
to
like
that
it,
one,
Michael.
and we didn't get to talk about death at all. So we're gonna have to do that next week, I guess. So,
Death we can talk about whenever. I mean, death
Okay.
is death.
I
Next
figured
week?
that last week it would have been a little more appropriate given the circumstances of why we were off for a week.
Good point. Good point.
But it seems
Gotcha.
a little moot at this point. So
No, it's not moot. I mean, it's
Moot.
still it's only been 2 weeks, so I mean, I'm sure you're still. It's been 15 years since my grandmother died, and I still feel it. I still think about it almost every day. So it's not anything that I would ever want to take away from you. So definitely, we will have that conversation.
okay.
So
And I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at poor Grady is sitting here, and then he's got to look at the text that says, "You sound like you have in your mouth."
Well, on that note,
Good night, everybody.
Thank you for watching Positively Godless. Look at the links below or in the screen or wherever they are. And talk to us. Bye. Stupid.
what?
That was awful.
It's still recording.
restaurant. From what I gather, it'll be up for. I'll be there. Oh, tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Yeah. How many?
What?
Yeah. What just happened? That Jerry, are you still there?
You went on dial-up mode
Yeah,
for
I'm
a
here.
quick
Watch.
sec.
Yeah. No. You went into complete breakup there.
Oh, okay. So you didn't hear me say I had 2 strokes. Leave me the fuck alone. He's like, oh, there you go. I said I had 2 strokes. Leave me the fuck alone. Sometimes I don't see words.
But no, it's, if you're still in town, come see me.
I'm not in town.
Not you. So this is the part of the show in Skype where it's just going to be a picture.
Why are you hanging up?
No, because you two are on either side of the screen.
I know. I was going to mention that. I was
Right.
going to say the great thing about this setup right now is that it's going to cut right here and
Yep.
right over here, and it's just
Yeah.
going to be a blank spot.
Who's talking?
So Tyler.